Welcome to Elohim's words of love, the wonder of all wonders, the secret of my incarnation. Grieved in her holiest primal essence, the primal source of my love, pressed strongly to proceed into the world of mankind, to confront her opposing state of hell. This meant that Elohim himself would make the greatest sacrifice out of love, to overcome and dissolve this opposing state of hell. As mentioned, Elohim can do anything out of love, and thus he was able to proceed with such a sacrifice through the most wonderful, fundamental principle of his eternal love, the self-sacrificing, total mercy of his love, which would ultimately lead all and everything back to him. A tremor, unknown until now in my entire creation, filled the entire space of my infinite creation when I, Elohim, the Almighty Adonai, yielded to the urge of my heart's primal source, the primal source of eternal love, to proceed and appear on the star of sinful mankind, as he who has all power in heaven and on earth, so that man, as a child of my fatherly heart, could recognize me as eternal love and henceforth direct his life by my sole example, turning away from the counterpole of my eternal love, to whom this earth was assigned for her redemption, until the time when all beings would be saved. But how could this be possible? Since it seemed impossible, my counterpole never expected Elohim the Almighty to visibly confront her on her earth. She was thus quite certain that she could quietly continue to lead the children of my eternal love astray forever. Indeed, how could it be possible that I, the Almighty Spirit of heaven and earth, could step directly into a visible and tangible form amidst a small-minded mankind, which could discern nothing but brute matter? As the all-pervading Almighty Spirit, the all-in-all of eternal power, only perceptible and recognizable to someone with a gradually awakened spiritual eye, it would have been forever impossible to manifest myself as a human being to mankind in the total almightiness of my being, for no one would ever have been able to bear the almightiness in me, Elohim the Adonai and Creator. Yet the urge of my heart's primal source persisted to bring salvation and deliverance to the sinful earthly children, away from the power of the counterpole, through the most merciful act of eternal fatherly love, by myself descending upon this star of all sins. Thus, this path of salvation and deliverance had to be taken through the greatest of all miracles, a mystery in my creation that exhausted both the highest wisdom of my Holy Spirit and the greatest grace, namely, that I, Elohim, the Adonai and Almighty Creator of all existence, would incarnate myself in an earthly human form, to be visible to mankind and bearable to their earthly strength. Consequently, a birth on earth had to be prepared so that I, the Adonai, could take on human flesh, thereby becoming visible as Elohim and able to act for the salvation of all earthly children. It is therefore self-evident to all who wish to follow and hear me that such a birth could not follow the normal way of earthly procreation, but had to proceed in another manner. Thus, I, Yahweh, announce through my closest servants, whom you call archangels, by what you currently know of them, that I, the Almighty, would appear visibly for a limited time to the most sinful beings of my heavens, namely those who had once turned away from my eternal kingdom of spirit, and now inhabit a small star of my creation, a star created through my grace and compassion, to serve for their redemption from their old sin of apostasy. Along with this announcement, I, Yahweh, posed a question to all my higher angels, asking if any of them had a solution as to how this noble and greatest work of grace could be achieved. A heavenly test, so to speak, for my highest servants to see how far they had progressed themselves in the spirit of my almighty wisdom. Yet I, Elohim of heaven and earth, who had never even been permanently visible to my angels of the closest spheres, knew very well that through this question the heavenly spirits were confronted with entirely new ground in the heavens. Yes, they wondered how Elohim, who had not even fully appeared to them, could appear clearly visible and perceptible in a world whose inhabitants had not mastered even the slightest degree of heavenly spirituality. For had not Elohim the Adonai said to his greatest prophet on earth, Moses, "You cannot see my face, for man cannot see me and live." Exodus 33 verse 20. Amazement struck all my angels, although they knew that I, Yahweh, had a solution the moment I promised or announced something. But their dismay was rather a result of their deepest humility and a burning love for me, something you, O children of men, cannot even begin to grasp. For you still do not know what fervent love can be. But in their burning love and most blissful humility, they were overtaken by an until now unknown sadness at the terrible thought that Elohim's imminent law of grace for the salvation of the sinful human race on earth could deprive them of their Elohim's breath, which had filled them with permanent bliss. And a lament rose in nearly unending heavenly dirges. The sorrowful angels united in enormous, countless choirs, begging that I would not leave my heavens, and instead choose another way to bring the human race of the small star Earth back into the heavenly kingdom of light and love. Like endless, roaring hurricanes, the lamenting choirs echoed through all heavenly spheres and reached me. The heavens transformed into a tremendous wailing for their Elohim and Creator. I, Yahweh, cannot make known to you how long this wailing continued in my heavens, for you cannot comprehend it, due to your current earthly understanding of time. As it seemed there would be no end to this despair of my angels, I, Yahweh, whispered one question, the question above all questions, throughout my heavens, which none could answer unless they were love like myself from eternity to eternity. And this question, vibrating through the heavens, addressing all spirits that had come forth from my Holy Spirit, was, what is true love? Perfect love? Is true and perfect love not more concerned with everything else than with itself? Would she not gladly offer herself out of love for everyone? This echoed as the key question of all questions posed by myself. The grieving choirs of my angels subsided and remained silent for a very long time, a very long time.